What happens when the greatest threat to a monarchy doesn't come from protesters outside the gates, but from someone seated at the royal dinner table?
Everyone bows and curtsies to the king, and no one moves a limb, a muscle, when Camilla passes. And that was because they were angry with Camilla.
Camilla has done it again, but this time, the consequences may reach deeper than anyone expected. What may have seemed like a legal move on paper quickly escalated into something far worse, as a simple decision within palace walls sparked a fire that refuses to quench. When it comes to royal legacy, even the smallest move can carry enormous weight. Can Camilla really harm Elizabeth's legacy? And what would be the consequences? Join us as we unveil how Camilla touched the Queen's legacy and was kicked out. The missing jewelry. For nearly 7 decades, Elizabeth II sat on the throne as the steady figurehead of the British monarchy, and along with her reign came one of the most extraordinary collections of royal jewelry in modern history. Her reign was defined by discipline, symbolism, and a careful understanding of what the crown represented. Many of the jewels came from generations before her. Pieces once worn by Queen Victoria survived political upheaval and world wars. Others were preserved by her grandmother, Queen Mary, who had a keen eye for craftsmanship and a known devotion to royal heritage. Over time, Elizabeth added her own commissions, marking jubilees, state visits, and historic transitions with carefully designed pieces that would one day tell her story long after she was gone. However, certain items were considered deeply personal. The sapphire jubilee brooch she wore during her 65th year on the throne symbolized both longevity and endurance. The double-strand pearl necklace she chose for the funeral of Princess Diana in 1997 meant a different thing altogether. For the late Queen, her jewelry were not mere accessories, they were artifacts of private feeling displayed in public view. Beyond the jewels, there was something even more intimate. During the global lockdown, the Queen had reportedly kept handwritten journals, which contained reflections on leadership in isolation, personal thoughts about the future of the monarchy, and letters addressed to her heirs. According to palace tradition, these writings were to remain sealed for a long time. The institution had no rights to them because they were not state documents. They were maternal guidance, written by a monarch who had seen the world change dramatically beneath her reign. When Elizabeth II passed away in 2022, her eldest son stepped up as King Charles III. Along with the crown, he inherited the responsibility of looking after her private estate, including the Duchy of Lancaster. In those early months, Charles was careful with every move, knowing that anything he did would be closely watched. One of his first decisions was to make sure his mother's most personal treasures were properly secured. Every sensitive item was catalogued and locked away in the royal vault, with access limited to only a handful of trusted people in the palace. On the surface, it was about preservation and respect, but privately, it was also about keeping his mother's legacy safe. For 3 years, nothing appeared unusual. Then, in 2025, a routine audit by the royal treasurer revealed discrepancies. Several items listed as temporarily withdrawn had not been returned. The sapphire jubilee brooch was no longer in its designated case. The pearl necklace worn in 1997 was absent from its storage compartment. More troubling still, the sealed lockdown journals were missing from the archive in which they had been secured. There was no sign of forced entry. Security systems showed no breach. The vault had been opened through authorized clearance. Digital logs recorded the access codes used, the time of entry, and the items signed out. The documentation was thorough, leaving little room for speculation about how the removal had occurred. The access code belonged to someone at the very top. Palace records show that the items had been withdrawn under routine administrative labels, things like cataloging review, valuation checks, or temporary relocation for preservation. On the surface, it all looked perfectly normal. Technically, whoever did it had the authority to access those items in their role as a senior royal, and the system worked exactly as it was meant to. What unsettled those within the inner circle was not the legality of the access, but the choice of items. The pieces removed were not random selections from a vast collection. They were among the most symbolically charged possessions associated with Elizabeth's personal story. When the findings were presented to King Charles, the implications were immediate and deeply personal. He knew it was not an external scandal, and it was not an attack from outside the palace gates. It was a matter confined within his household itself. Fingers began to point, and though no one said it at first, the woman who now stood beside him as queen had become a prime suspect, at least for those close to the king. They believed Camilla had accessed, removed, and failed to return some of the late queen's most intimate possessions. As usual, no public statement was issued, but engagements continued. Official appearances were carried out with the usual composure. Yet within the palace walls, the atmosphere was no longer the same, and rightly so. Although some questions could not be voiced openly, they lingered in private conversations among the senior aides. For Charles, the issue extended beyond missing jewels. The monarchy rests heavily on continuity, and continuity depends on reverence for those who came before. His mother had guarded those treasures not for personal indulgence, but as custodianship for the crown. The removal of items so closely tied to her memory risked more than embarrassment. It risked altering the quiet balance within the royal family itself. Whether the intention had been curiosity, sentiment, or something more strategic, the fact remained undeniable, and the responsibility traced directly back to Camilla. Why did Camilla become the prime suspect? There are a number of reasons why all fingers pointed to her, but are there really enough reasons to suspect her? First major blunder. At some point in history, Camilla Parker Bowles was the most hated woman in Britain, with Princess Diana describing her as the Rottweiler that ruined her marriage. But now she's Queen Camilla, one of the more popular royals, a respected figurehead for her charity work, and receives consistently positive press coverage. But everything she does now is seen by the public as damage control. However, incidents like the recent jewelry case make it extremely hard for Camilla to gain public affection, and it's exactly because of her past that she has become the major suspect for the Wednesday event. Since she wanted to be queen, she also wanted to have everything that came with that position, including the royal jewelry. Some people have attributed her actions to the fact that she wants to stamp her authority as queen. Others say it's just customary for her to do shady things. Camilla's string of misdeeds dates all the way back to the 1990s when she hadn't even married Charles. She had been orchestrating things to always go in her favor. Starting with Diana, every royal fan knows the strong feeling that former Princess of Wales Camilla Parker Bowles felt about each other in the 80s and 90s. But as the bond between Diana and Charles fell apart, she laid the blame very firmly with Camilla.
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
And the uncomfortable and sometimes angry relationship between the two was played out on a very public stage. But what many didn't know was that the two women were initially friends. Camilla's biographer, Penny Junor, noted that when Lady Diana Spencer first began dating the heir to the throne in 1980, they were often guests at Bolhide Manor in Wiltshire, the country home Camilla shared with her first husband, Andrew Parker Bowles. The women enjoyed each other's company, and Diana is said to have enjoyed helping Camilla with her young children, Tom and Laura. Before the royal engagement was announced, Camilla provided a friendly shoulder to lean on as Diana navigated one of her first experiences with the cameras at Ludlow races, where both women watched the Prince of Wales competing. Soon after Charles and Diana announced they were to wed, in February 1981, the bride to be moved into Clarence House, where Diana later told Andrew Morton, who wrote the 1992 book Diana. Her true story: she found a note from Camilla on her bed, asking her to lunch. The two enjoyed a gossipy meal, but Diana later remembered the meeting less fondly, believing Camilla was using it to work out when she would be able to see Charles on his own after the royal wedding. In fact, soon after the engagement, Diana became distrustful of her new friend. Morton's book describes how upset Diana was by Charles's decision to give Camilla a bracelet, engraved with the initials G and F, just before his wedding in July 1981. Diana was convinced it symbolized Gladys and Fred, the pet names Charles and Camilla allegedly used for one another. Others claim it meant Girl Friday. Penny Junor also sheds light on the pain Diana felt when a photo of Camilla fell out of Charles's diary during their honeymoon on the royal yacht Britannia. But the early years of Diana's married life involved little actual contact with Camilla. In fact, Charles's former girlfriend stayed away from events she knew the Prince and Princess of Wales would attend. But in the mid-80s, Diana was convinced her husband was seeing Camilla again. In 1989, the women came face-to-face at a birthday party for Camilla's sister, Annabelle. Diana told Andrew Morton that she surprised Charles and his friends by attending the celebration, and once there, she engineered a conversation with Camilla in which she told her she knew about the real state of her relationship with Charles. Diana later recalled that Camilla had come back by saying the princess had beautiful children and public adoration before asking her what more she wanted. Diana's reply? "I want my husband." Both women were left visibly shaken by the encounter. In the following years, there was no more contact. However, the relationship between Diana and Camilla became very public as the royal marriage broke down. In the 1990s, the princess began to reveal her feelings toward Camilla, and in 1995, she gave her famous Panorama interview. Her conversation with Martin Bashir shed light on her relationship with her rival, with Diana famously saying, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." While her relationship with her ex-husband is said to have mellowed following their divorce in 1996, Diana never reconciled with Camilla and was reported to be upset when Charles organized a 50th birthday party for her at Highgrove, their former marital home, in July 1997. Diana's death, just weeks later, led to a public backlash against Camilla. Although the feud ended so suddenly with Diana's untimely death, that was far from being the end of Camilla's feuds with British royals. From her relationship with Diana, fraught with lies and deceit, the public knows she was up to no good at the time. It's no wonder why she easily became a suspect for the missing royal jewelry. Camilla was a snake in the grass once Charles and Diana got together. She very quickly befriended Diana, and while this could have been genuine, it also makes it suspiciously easy for her to have access to Charles. Anyhow, Camilla apparently never really liked Diana, let alone respected her. This manifested in some odd ways, including Camilla's favored nickname for her romantic rival, that mad cow. But she went further, and in the book, Rebel Prince. The power, passion, and defiance of Prince Charles. It's claimed she collected unflattering newspaper cartoons of Diana and decorated a toilet in her house with them. This was terrible in itself, but it wasn't nearly the worst thing Camilla did. What's the real reason why the public doesn't trust Camilla? The Great Scandal. When anyone mentions the great scandal of Camilla Parker Bowles and King Charles, they can only be talking about one thing: Camillagate. It's the controversy over a 1989 telephone conversation between Charles and his then-lover, which was published in the tabloid press in 1993. Understand that this conversation happened while Charles was married to Diana, with kids. In the conversation, Charles and Camilla joked about the then-prince's wishes for an even closer relationship. They blatantly expressed their desire to be together and shared their feelings, stating that Sunday nights were unbearable without each other. Yearning for another meeting before the family holiday festivities intervened, they arranged an assignment. An ambulance strike was keeping Camilla's husband away on official duties, and the lovers expressed their hope that the strike would continue indefinitely, just so they could spend as much time together as they could. The tape was so scandalous that it immediately damaged Charles's public image, and the media somehow held Camilla responsible for the breakdown of his marriage to Diana. After all, The publication of the tape came only a month after Charles and Diana's formal separation had been announced in the House of Commons. The scandal was initially a private affair, but it became a public spectacle in the United Kingdom in January 1993 when the Sunday People and the Sunday Mirror published it. However, by then, Australian magazine New Idea and a German tabloid had also reported on the matter. The tapes were of a 6-minute telephone conversation between the Prince of Wales and his then-mistress recorded on the evening of 18 December 1989, while Camilla was at her home and Charles was at a friend's country house. The general reaction by the public after the tapes came to light was that Charles had grossly embarrassed the British royal family. According to Diana's bodyguard, Ken Wharf, in his book Guarding Diana, Protecting the Princess Around the World, the backlash was savage. Establishment figures who were usually loyal to the future king and country were dumbfounded, and some people questioned the prince's suitability to rule. Wharf also stated that Diana was shocked by the scandal, which prompted her to say the words, "It's just sick," repeatedly. Even after they married, the public didn't quiet down. It was quite the contrary. Why? Well, it was not too long after he separated from Diana that he remarried, but the problem is not that he remarried. The challenge lies in who he married: Camilla. The same Camilla with whom he had that troublesome scandal. But that's not all there is to it. Another reason why royal fans believe she has a hand in it is her complex relationship with Prince William and Princess Catherine. How big is the rift between the current queen and the future monarchs? The secret feud. To talk about Queen Camilla and the Wales is to talk about the three of the people with the most influence within the British crown. While it is true that there are clear differences between them, it's also true that they have divided Britain completely. Camilla represents the most protocol-driven present of the institution, and the Wales, the future. A future that, for many, is more than promising. It is guaranteed that there's a sort of tension between these royal generations. Does Camilla have an actual beef with the Wales? Why? It can't be called a beef per se, but the tension is palpable even with the neutral closeness with which they relate. One day, King Charles' crown will pass on to Prince William. That day could be soon, or several years away. But with the recent happenings at Buckingham Palace, it's probably more likely to be soon. And so William and Kate are currently preparing, just as Charles and Camilla spent many, many decades doing. An inside source is opening up about how Camilla has stepped up into the role of queen, a role that she is not eager to relinquish. Apparently, she loves her responsibilities, or perhaps just the prestige. A source explained that her whole life she has always wanted to be queen, and maybe now that she has what she has always wanted, Camilla doesn't want to let it go so fast. According to the report, Camilla feels particularly hesitant to pass on her duties to Kate. Obviously, the princess who is married to the eldest prince will almost inevitably become queen and inherit Camilla's crown. And that would be the end of the road for the queen's consort, so it won't be completely out of place if she really is hesitant about it. Kate has always been known for her temperament and exquisite manners. It is almost impossible to catch her breaking protocol or creating an uncomfortable situation for the British royal family. In the case of Queen Camilla, the story is quite different. She already started out in the institution, facing strong criticism for her relationship with King Charles. The British found it hard to accept her, and even as queen, there are still those who don't like her as their representative. With Kate, it's the complete opposite, as she has always enjoyed the affection of England. In fact, in the latest popularity poll, Kate far surpasses Queen Camilla, who must settle for the last spots. This huge difference between them could have caused the first tensions. Theories suggest that Queen Camilla feels jealous of Kate and how she has won everyone's affection despite having a lower rank, and that's why she made the move of keeping Queen Elizabeth's prized jewelry. Although Camilla holds the title of Queen Consort, several media outlets say that Kate is more appreciated in certain parts of the public. Middleton represents youth, modern style, and approachability, attributes that are widely discussed on social media and in the press. Queen Camilla and Kate Middleton had an awkward moment during the U.S. state visit, during which the Queen seemingly shooed her daughter-in-law away from her. According to multiple outlets, including Us Weekly and Page 6, and a video of the moment, Camilla subtly waved her hand, indicating that she wanted Kate to move away from her and First Lady Melania Trump, and the princess obliged. The royals haven't issued a statement explaining the moment, but the video is pretty awkward. Now, half of England is outraged by the latest gesture Camilla has had toward Kate Middleton. If during Trump's visit we saw how Charles's wife called out Kate, now another issue between them has come to light. Apparently, Camilla doesn't let Kate use the royal jewelry box. Since Kate took on her new role in the institution, it has become common to see her almost always wearing the same tiara. Some media outlets claim that it's not just that she likes that piece, but that Queen Camilla reserves it as the only option for her. There's also the fact that Kate received some of the most significant pieces from the late Queen Elizabeth's personal jewelry box. In total, Kate Middleton would have inherited 10 pieces whose value is estimated at 81 million euros, making her the main beneficiary. Among the pieces, the Hyderabad necklace stands out, considered the most expensive jewel. This piece, one of the monarch's favorites, was a wedding gift in 1947 from the Nizam of Hyderabad. The necklace that now belongs to Kate Middleton was created by the Cartier firm in 1935 and is adorned with more than 50 large diamonds arranged in various floral designs. But that's not all. Another valuable piece that Kate Middleton has inherited is the George V festoon necklace. The Princess of Wales wore it in the official photographs taken after the coronation of Charles III. In a way, Catherine has already stamped her place in the royal family. She stands next in line to Camilla, and regardless of what Camilla does, that'll not change. Some people close to Prince William insist his wife has no intention of creating divisions. Kate's focused on her duties and her health, said a royal insider. She's not interested in rivalries. However, even though she's not interested in rivalries, she won't be diminished either. She knows the public looks to her, and she takes that role seriously. According to some inside sources, Camilla and Kate have always had a tense relationship, but that tension is not limited to her relationship with Kate. Even the Prince of Wales reportedly found her repellent, and she found him the same. A former royal photographer is spilling on what's going on behind the scenes with the royals, and he's alleged that Queen Camilla is not here for Prince William's antics. Ian Pelham Turner told a reporter in an interview that he believes Queen Camilla is always trying to cover up after herself. In her defense, she sees William trying to create issues, and she wants to stop it. Prince William and his stepmom have a historically strained relationship, and in 2024, royal expert Christopher Anderson said in an interview that William merely tolerates Camilla, who has always been a little afraid of him. The author also said that Camilla needed a gin and tonic after her first time meeting William. William and his brother Harry had always distrusted Camilla and felt resentment toward her because of their devotion to their mother. They never felt comfortable opening up to her in any real way. William and Harry's distrust only grew to new heights when they found out Camilla was leaking stories to the press to make herself look better. With a relationship this tense, it seems plausible that people would point fingers to Camilla in the conspiracy to steal the heritage that Queen Elizabeth II left behind. William and Kate can't be bothered about her, as they are doing their best to prepare for their time on the throne, while Camilla should be preparing to step down from it. But what if Camilla has other plans? Revenge mission? People say one of the biggest reasons why Camilla would do anything to Queen Elizabeth's jewelry could be payback. But for what? As it turns out, this isn't the first case of missing jewelry in the royal family. As revealed in an excerpt from the biography The Windsor Legacy, the British royal family experienced a theft of their own, one that's been hidden from the public eye until now. In the book, veteran royal journalist Robert Jobson revealed that thieves ran off with some of Queen Camilla's jewels just 3 years ago. But instead of taking steps, the palace buried any news of the crime. Jobson wrote in a passage from the book serialized in the Daily Mail that it wasn't quite the heist of the century, but close. And most incredibly, no one has breathed a word until now about how a daring thief managed to snaffle a bag of Queen Camilla's jewelry. The author explains how the incident happened. On that day, Charles and Camilla, who were then the Prince of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall, were en route to the airport to leave for their 2022 royal tour of Canada when the robbery happened. While visiting a rest stop, their aides made the unbelievable mistake of leaving a bag of jewelry unattended in an unlocked car. One of them had stepped away for a cigarette. The other two were inside getting coffees. While they were inside, a thief stole Camilla's jewels and made away with them. In Jobson's words, the thief had simply walked up to the car and taken a bag labeled HRH, the Duchess of Cornwall. He noted that police managed to track the culprit via CCTV, and the items were recovered within hours. Although it's unclear which pieces were inside the bag, Jobson points out that the carelessness of the aides resulted in an unusual response from the palace. Granted, the palace wasn't completely motionless, but the question is why they kept it completely under the carpet. No charges were filed against the person who took the jewelry, nor was any police report ever made. As far as Buckingham Palace was concerned, the robbery never happened, and the incident was buried to avoid embarrassment. If the accusations against Camilla are real, then these, and many more, are the reasons why she could have disregarded tradition and laid her hands on jewels that were supposed to be revered. Are Camilla's acts justified? And does she still have a solid place in the royal family? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.